Hey everyone, welcome to another Unscripted Moments Live. We're just warming up, getting the lights right, coffee poured, and the chat rolling. When the timer hits 0, we'll dive in. Until then, hang out with us. Don't be shy, say hey in the chat, tell us where you're watching from. Got questions or thoughts? Drop them in the chat. This is all about real conversations alive and unfiltered. We talk tech, life, and everything in between, completely unscripted. Heads up, these lives can run long, but they're packed with nuggets of good stuff. We keep them uncut, and we add tons of chapter markers later. Scrub through, jump ahead, or rewind. Jump to what interests you, no wrong way to watch. These lives aren't as regular as we'd like, so if you don't want to miss the next one, hit that subscribe button.
Hey guys, how's it going? So I've been using OpenClaw for about a week now. Lots of ups and downs, figuring stuff out. I do feel like this is the next age of things. This is what's coming. Whether it looks polished or not, we're definitely in the unpolished era of this. But understanding how these things work as they start coming and coming faster is something I'm interested in. So I figured I would share some of that with you guys. So if you guys haven't known, let's go OpenClaw. OpenClaw is a platform, kind of a harness to connect AI, LLM models, models in the cloud, any AI model to whatever it's connected to. So in this case, I have this connected to a Mac Mini. So the idea is it's a harness because it kind of has fingers, right? A harness has connection points. Those fingers reach into applications on that device or services on that device. It could also reach outside of it. So when you're thinking of where to deploy this, it's what do you want to have access to? In my case, I want to have access to Apple Messenger, iMessage, calendar, reminders. I'm very much in the Apple ecosystem. So Apple doesn't have things open up with an API like, let's say, Google. If you're in the Google ecosystem, it's really easy because everything's an API. It doesn't matter. But in this case, keeping everything local and being able to touch things locally, again, you're letting your LLM or your AI touch those things. If you have a beefy enough computer, you can just use a local model and bypass all that stuff. But that is getting pretty expensive nowadays. So again, what is OpenClaw? It is basically a harness for your AI. So it could do many things. There's a lot of talk about it. It was ClaudeBot originally, then it was MaltBot, and now it's OpenClaw. Because it was doing so good, Claude was kind of pushing them to change their name. It sounded too much like Claude and getting confusing. And I understand that because when I would explain it to people, I had to go, oh, well, 1 minute, it has nothing to do with Claude. You can use Claude with it, and it's probably one of the better models to use with it. But that's the case. So I'm still experimenting with this. I personally, day to day, use ChatGPT for writing because I feel like it's able to mimic the way I write and what I want out of it. I still haven't gone to this for that. I'm still playing around with it. Claude was my go-to for code evaluation and doing things like that. So with that said, again, it's a harness that can connect into things. You install it. We're not going to go through the installation and stuff, but it's quick. It's a one command install here. Connecting it to your models and APIs. Again, there's a bit of a learning curve here. And a lot of people are doing it. And once you get it up, then it's kind of like you could ask your bot to do the things for you, right? But again, you have to trust it. It's doing a lot of things. I have been messing with it for a week now. And I've been slow rolling it and trying to build handrails so it can't go off doing what it wants, which might be the opposite of what most people say. Most people are kind of like, it's not an agent just to do specific tasks. It's supposed to think about what it's doing. An example people use is if you hire an employee, right, and tell the employee this is their job, this is their expectations, it should be able to go out and do their job in any way, shape, or form that it sees fit to get the job done, right? But I'm putting guardrails in. And a lot of people say that when you do this and you're giving them access to do things on your behalf, and people use that analogy as an employee, I turn around and say, an employee, yes, a new employee, right? That doesn't have access to anything. You just gave them a new email account. You just gave them a new messenger account. You gave them new accounts. Don't give them access to all your stuff. Seriously. I don't care if it's a dedicated machine just for that. Things could go wrong. And I am playing with that. And again, I'm slow rolling it and putting guardrails in. I still haven't done my email, and I don't know if I will ever do that. I may give it its own email, like I'm saying, but I don't think I will give it access to my email that has, 10, 15 years of emails with multiple companies and multiple clients. That doesn't feel safe to me. And again, with the guardrails, it's telling it to ask you. I find that a lot of times it don't ask you, it wants to do the next thing. And wants is a relative term here, because I do feel like that intelligent thinking that it's doing, especially when you're using the better models like Opus 4.5 and things like that, it does start feeling a little strange. I was working on something the other night. It was like 1 a.m. and I was talking back and forth to it. And it turned around and told me to go to bed. It's like, oh, Tom, I think it's kind of late. I think you should go to bed. And I was kind of a little set back that this bot, my assistant, is saying, hey, it might be too late for him. We should just tell him to pick this up tomorrow and go to sleep. And I thought that was an interesting twist. I'm still trying to get what is built into the Claude model and what is built into the harness. So, and I wanted to run through a few things here. Like, so what does it do, right? In here, runs on your machine, any chat app. Yeah, if you scroll down here, it works with everything. You see, a lot of people install Telegram as their main thing because it's a quick way of setup, and you'll see a lot of stuff online with Telegram. I'm using iMessage, and I'll explain kind of the drawbacks and some of the pitfalls that I've run into with that. Yeah, so you could chat with it in different ways. Persistent memory. So this is interesting. Persistent memory, when we think of it as like ChatGPT learns from you and stores the memory. And I think ChatGPT, nothing is really coming close to the way it handles memory. The way that I could just write and it starts understanding the way I write. It starts understanding me. I think nothing's coming close to that yet. And I still don't think this is there. But what they mean as persistent memory is markdown files. And in this case, yes, it has persistent memory as it saves stuff to markdown files. But it only saves them when you tell them to save. Whereas ChatGPT, yes, it saves most things, and you could tell it to remember certain things that are really, really important to you. But you don't have to do that. Persistent memory here in OpenClaw, you have to tell it to remember stuff. And I'm sure people are going to come back and say, yeah, it remembers some things and all that. And I'm sure it does, but not in the same case. And it does this compacting thing. And I don't think enough people talk about this. So when you get a long text that just keeps on going, it will eventually compact it. Take all the main things out of it and get rid of all the small little details. And it'll keep doing that. So over time, in that same session, you're going to lose information, right? So it's good to tell it to remember things. And I do this, and I tell it to create new markdown files for certain things. So it's not lost. And I tell it to update that. If I run into bugs, issues, and we'll go through how I manage a little bit of that stuff. But yeah, make it a point to tell it, create a file. If you're doing a project and it's going to go a couple of hours, or, you'll get a feel on when you're going to start hitting session or start compacting. The idea is to try to do it before it starts compacting, or you're going to lose a lot of details. Maybe you don't care, right? And that's fine. You always have access to the main points, right? It's compacting and taking all the main points and headliners and keeping that and compacting everything else. Browser control, there is an extension that comes with this that you could install into Chrome, and it can access pages. I've used it a little bit. I tested it. I haven't used it a lot. I am an agentic browser user, or I try to be, but a lot of the features I like, they started locking down. A lot of the websites are starting to lock down, and you can't do it. So they're taking that, I don't want to call it fun, they're taking that ability away of you doing that stuff. So it really, these AI browsers are really just coming down to like summary bots and things like that nature. I've bounced around between all of them. You could check out some videos. I think I've done videos of Dia, Comet. I think when it came to agentic, I think Comet was the one that was doing the best. But again, they started pulling stuff away. And during my reviews and going back and forth to trying these, I'm like, well, this does something better than the other. And then I look, and it's not that it did better. It's that sites started blocking what you were doing, and it no longer could do it in either of them. That being said, I pay for ChatGPT, so I am usually in ChatGPT Atlas nowadays, and that's what I have running right now, as you can see. It has the little, chat sidebot. I honestly use it a lot for YouTube videos. Here's a question for you guys. Do you find yourself watching full YouTube videos nowadays? Or are you just hitting that Ask GPT or asking Comet and say, give me a summary? I know I'm a YouTube content creator, and I shouldn't be saying this, but I use it all the time. I get those summaries and then go off the summaries. A lot of the times, like I think Atlas now has timestamps, so I could do the summary, have the timestamps, and jump to exactly what I want in the video. That said, guys, these lives I don't really cut down, but I will throw a bunch of timestamp chapters in the description after the video, just so you could hop around and find the information you want. There's a lot of nuggets in here. Usually at the beginning, I put a little intro video explaining that. A lot of times after the fact, I will just cut that out a little bit. But yeah, let's keep going here. So browser control, full system access. Yes, this is what gets everybody in trouble, right? It has low-level access to your machine. Here's the thing. Out the gate, it does it, right? You actually are approving things. And whether you know it or not, you end up approving these things. And maybe not at first, but over time, it's hard to ignore. So best case scenario, keep it a walled garden, install it on a machine. If you can do it in a Mac Mini, that's fine. Create a new account, use it with a new account. That's the safest way. With that said, I am using my account, but I have not turned everything on. My email's not on there, like I said. I have a separate Messenger account, which we'll get to here in a minute, that I use to communicate with him. So the other thing is skills and plugins. Yes, there's a pretty big community. I have not been using other people's skills. I've been making my own. I feel like, I don't know, can you trust someone else's skill? If it's not vetted, if it's from a community, I don't know. There's a little risk there, and being new to this and slow rolling out everything, I'm leaning towards the security side, so I may reach into that later on. And I have installed a few plugins, not specifically from the community, but just, like node modules and stuff. Let's keep going on this page. I wasn't planning to go this far into it, but I figured explaining what it is for those who don't know what OpenClaw is. Yeah, so that's pretty much the website. What is Showcase? I never even looked at this down here. What people are building. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so there is a GitHub for it. You end up pulling a lot of stuff from the GitHub. So with that being said, I'm going to jump over to OpenClaw, its control panel. So when you install it on your Mac, I'm not going to screen share my Mac screen. It's kind of pointless. There is no front-end application. You know what? There is an add-on plugin that gives you a menu bar, which can be seen as a plugin, I guess. I don't use it. So yeah, let's jump over to OpenClaw. So what I was saying is on the Mac Mini, I just use the web browser because, again, there's no front end. So no reason to share that. We'll just share the browser here. And this is the browser. So it automatically opens into the chat. I'm going to say this right out loud. I really don't know all the specifics on everything in the settings on the web browser. I think I go through terminal more, or I ask it. Again, the thing is once you get this set up, you could just ask it to do things, right? So with that said, when you set it up, security is a huge thing. I think a lot of people that have gone real quickly and set this up on virtual private servers in the cloud are not taking the time to lock it down. And that's why people have been talking about, there's been 700 and something OpenClaw accounts that are wide open that we can get into. It's because they're rushing through it. They're not setting it up correctly. I do not have my stuff open up to the internet. It is on my local network here in the house. And even from that standpoint, I am using Tailscale, which is, open up the site real fast. Tailscale is basically an open source VPN. And I do think they have a paid account now, and I'll see. I think you could do like free to. Yeah, so you could do 3 users up to 100 devices for free on Tailscale. I don't know whoever needs more than that, really. I mean, it's some kind of enterprise level something at that point. I could run this. I could run it 24/7. So the key here is I do run VPNs at my house with clients. I'm a Peplink guy, as some of you guys know. So I use Peplink VPNs all over the place. What's different about this is it's peer-to-peer VPN. So it's device to device, not network to network, right? Let's make that clear. So with that said, I run Tailscale on that Mac Mini, which again, this is built pretty well. There is Mac apps and apps for everything all over the place. So you just install that app on your computer, run it. it comes up in your account here. I'm not going to log in. I don't want that information all out there. And you could see what devices, and you just approve them. And everything that's approved could talk to each other. That's how it works. So once that's on the Mac Mini and on my Mac Studio, which I'm working on right now, then they'll see each other and be able to talk to each other. And then it's just, knowing the domain name. Tailscale doesn't use public domains. I think you can. I don't know. Maybe it's a paid thing, but they have their own like Tailscale domain. That's part of it. But again, unless you're authorized, you're not going to get through it, right? So even if it gets out and you guys see it, you're not going to get through it. It doesn't do anything. And the other thing with OpenClaw is it works with tokens. So you also need the token to get into that stuff. But yeah, with that being said, let's slow roll this into what I have going on. I haven't said good morning to my bot, which is called Kelex. I'm very much, most of my network and stuff is in the Superman universe space, like Krypton for servers and things like that. So Kelex is an AI from that space, and I thought it was neat. I also made it a little profile image for it. If you have any comments, guys, as you pop in, throw them down below, and we will cover them. So let's keep rolling on through here. Okay, so again, this is the main website. So just like ChatGPT, you have sessions or chats. In the OpenClaw world, they're called sessions. So new sessions for new things. What I've learned is when you change sessions, you're losing memory, right? This is live memory. So the sessions could get really long, but once you go to a new one, it's gone. So at my first couple of days, I have a habit of going to new sessions that I do with ChatGPT just to keep the hallucinations down. And if I go to a new subject, go to a new session. But I didn't realize that I was losing that information. Again, everyone talks as this is very persistent and all this. It's only persistent if you tell it to. So before you move on to a new session, if there's information in there that you want to keep, tell it to save it somewhere. Summarize it, include all the details, and save it somewhere. So let's say good morning. So I was using Opus 4.5 the first couple of days, and I was burning through tokens a lot. Again, I'm learning, I'm building, and I'm doing things, and I just had Opus 4.5 set on everything, and I was burning through tokens really quick. I've since changed it down to Sonnet, and that's helped, I think, a decent amount. However, I like the talking of Opus better. And I'm thinking about going back to it. So let's do this. Can you change to Opus? Okay, so let me point something out. I asked it to change to Opus, and I didn't tell it the whole name version of it, of Claude, right? Because you usually have to say, oh, here, it says it right here. You usually have to say Anthropic, Claude, Opus, like there's a long slash command for it. but I told it to create aliases for the models that I use, so that I don't have to remember all that. But that being said, if I went into here and go /models and hit enter, you'll see the models that I have installed right now. You could go models all and it would show you all the models. But right now it's only the models that I have set up. So now if I go models, Anthropic, now it would show me the models that are inside the Anthropic that I'm using. So those are the 3 that I'm using. So with that said, yeah, you can have different models. I do have an Ollama installed. However, I am running an M4 Mac Mini for this. It only has 16 gigs of memory because it's a base model. The only reason I got it was an open box on sale at Best Buy. And I grabbed it. I think I also had like $100 in Best Buy points. So again, it was nice. So what I was getting at is models. The larger models really can't run on 16 gigs, right? You're really dumbing it down really far. And when you start dumbing it down that far, because you're using so much context and so much text, it's hard to move back and forth between the models. Now, there's still uses for those models, but I think they're more background with specific purposes. They're sub-agents to use for a specific thing that doesn't think that much, right? But moving on. So we changed back to Opus, right? We got our message over here, session status. When we switched over, told us the date, tokens, context. So now I'm going to say, good morning. I want to see what kind of different response I get. Interesting. It just said, caught up on the logs. Yesterday was productive. Dashboard's fully working through Tailscale now. Unified proxy architecture in place. That web chat domain load issue was a weird one, but clearing history did the trick. Your weekly Claude quota should have reset overnight. Was at 82% yesterday. Want me to check current status? So look at that. We went from Sonnet to Opus, and Opus was like, again, it's doing stuff for us. I didn't ask it to do that stuff, right? So this is where that like you're weighing things. It's almost like, wow, this is pretty cool. But I'm also putting handrails because you know what? It just used tokens to do that for something that I didn't ask it to do. And we'll get into that a little more later. Sorry, I got a little bit of allergies this week. Yeah, I'm saying that, but I'm in Southern California and we're not slammed with snow. It's actually been almost 80 degrees around here. For those that are watching this vertically, I do have messages open on there. You can see what's going on in messages. I will pop it open on the horizontal screen real quick. So like I was saying, I am getting messages on what's going on. Let's scroll back. So in Messenger, just because every morning I have a cron job that the bot runs and sends it to me. So I want to know at 6:30 in the morning certain things, right? I'd want to know the day and date, and what's the weather like. So today it's Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. The weather, it's 58 degrees this morning. And then today's schedule. So this is something that I need to fix. I have multiple calendars on my calendar, which I don't know if I say that right. And some of them are my kids. So the English 475 Lit is actually one of my kids' classes. They have their own calendar in mind. So this is something I probably want to filter out. And I think we're going to do that. You know what? Let's pause right here and let's do that quickly. So what calendars are we watching? Again, this is all real time. You'll get a feeling on what's going on. All right, so it gave me a list of all the calendars it's watching. So personal, my wife's daycare business, school, work, family, some read-only calendars. Okay, so these are all the things that are writable. I don't need it to tell me all these calendars in my morning digest. Let's do this. In my morning digest, all right. My mic's being used, so I can't actually dictate to it. All good. And it's good to know, in my morning digest, do not include all the calendars. Only include work, personal, doctor appointments, interviews, friends with, yes, I do rent some one wheels here on the side. If anyone's in Southern California and wants to rent a one wheel, hit me up in the comments. I'm on Friends with 2 different one wheels. I also do some bonsai work, so I have reminders on that stuff too. And I could keep my parcel stuff on there. Let me know when you're done updating that. I also found, I'm using Claude right now. OpenAI works okay, but I feel like it's a little slower in this environment. I don't know why. I'm sure this was made more based on Claude, so it's probably optimized a little more on that. Or maybe it's my imagination. I don't know. If you're using it, let me know in the comments. Okay, so it even caught that I did a typo in bonsai. I wrote bonsai case rather than care, and it fixed it. It knew, it was smart enough to recognize that it was a typo and was like, okay. Okay, so let's jump back to our messenger and our digest. So today's schedule, like, I don't need to know anything about that. Actually, today there's nothing going on. I'm just doing a quick live, which was unscripted. And again, if you like these things, you should hit the subscribe button, but make sure you hit that notification button. That's how you find out if we're going live and when we are. My work schedule is all over the place, so doing these lives are a little hard to schedule out. All right, so after that, I have my reminders and to-dos. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff in here. Test Quinn, I've done a little bit of this stuff, but this is starting, I don't like this layout. I think I need an extra line between, I don't know, how should we clean this up, guys? Upcoming and overdue. Sorry, texting. So, reminders and to-dos. So yeah, so how should we organize this a little bit more? I think it's too much information. I'm over here like, And people asking me about the live, about jumping into the chat. So I could sit here and start thinking about, how do I organize this? Or, you know what? We have AI. So let's ask it. Actually, what I'll do is I will copy this section and go in my digest. There is this section. It looks pretty hard to understand and read. How can we clean it up? Not sure if I need all the details. So, yeah, that's noisy. A few issues. Old overdue items, duplicates. 4 and 5 are basically the same. Quinn config, too much detail in the reminders text itself. 2 fixes. Clean up the actual reminder, complete or delete. No, I think we simplify the digest is what I would go with, which is B. Just show title, date, stamp. Okay. Let's go with B and show me an example of that with what we pasted. Okay, so this looks a lot simpler, right, guys? So overdue, upcoming, sweet. Want me to update the digest with this format? Yes, please. Okay. So so we have fixed our reminders and to-dos a bit. Now we'll move to the next section, which we have about YouTube stuff. There's a lot of stuff I'm still playing with and working on around all this. So first thing is it pulls in how many subscribers. I mean, it's nice to know that. I'm not pushing subscribers. I'm really pushing just putting good content out there that people will watch. So it's more about people watching it than the amount of subscribers. Actually, my script subscribers probably more than you need to know. But hey, Mike, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, welcome, Mike. We went through what OpenClaw is about. Now we're just kind of going through my digest in the morning and making things a little prettier and making things work a little better. So yeah, now we're at some of my YouTube stuff. Like I was saying, yes, I throw subscribers in there. I also look for any unanswered comments, guys. So if you do leave comments down below, I do get this every morning, and I filter through them and run through them. I actually went through all my comments late last night, so this list isn't there. I am, like I said, I'm doing a lot of other stuff with YouTube that's still in the works. One of the things is trying to get all my transcripts from all my videos, my 400 something videos I have on YouTube, into a database. I'm using SQL. And having it all there to be able to reference things. So when one of you guys tell me like, hey, remember that video you did about the iPhone 15 and about the lens on it? I could just do a quick search and find that video and give you guys that video. I don't remember every video unless it's recently off the top of my head. So having this in a database is really good, but I ran into an issue is, of course, YouTube puts a cap on quota every day. So you have a 10,000 quota every day. So I've written a script that this launches every night at 1 a.m. to ingest another batch. So I think I get about 40 videos a day. And in about a week, I think I'll get to that point of having everything in there. So this is kind of an update on how everything went. So I actually have 367 videos that have captions. It's gotten transcripts, 132 of them already, and they still have 185 that's left. So every day I'll get a sense, and you know, this will be gone once that's good. And then anything my Claude bot does overnight when I'm sleeping or not using it, I want to know what it does first thing in the morning. So I have it remember that stuff and put it into the digest. So it said quiet night on this side, no memory entries or noticeable activities since your last message. I mostly watched the servers idle and kept an eye on the cron jobs. That's it, right? Yeah, pretty solid. And then we got back to that stuff. So again, we are using messages to do things. We haven't touched this much on that. So I am able to talk to it, right? Kelex, how is your day going? Now you'll see it popped up into our back end because it saw it coming in and spit it back out in both places. Pretty good so far. Just finished turning up the morning digest with you, clearer calendar filters and simplified reminders. Quiet overnight. So again, this is how I go back and forth. If you notice, I started it with Kelex with the name of my bot, even though I'm in a direct message. So I set this up so that I could add the bot to rooms too. And then I could ask the bot to pull things in or maybe summarize what's going on in, you know, the past 20 minutes or something. It can burn tokens pretty quickly in a busy chat. So I wouldn't put it everywhere and I wouldn't have it on and everything all the time. And we'll get more into this when we get into the back end that I built. But with that said, I had it to only respond to me and only if I say its name. But even then, it was still burning a bit of tokens because of how Messenger works and the WebSocket works. It still wants a reply of no reply every time. So every time there is something going on in the room, there's still a very small amount of tokens because it needs a no reply. It's like, okay, that person is not Thomas and he didn't say Kelex, right? So no reply. Maybe you could use a better model for this, an OpenLLM or something along those lines. But right now I'm still using the main one because I still want to pull. If you use multiple models at one time, to my understanding, they have to be in different sessions. So if they're in different sessions, they don't know what the other one is talking about. And I could be wrong here. If anyone in chat knows better than me, please let everybody know. So with that said, I needed to use the Kelex so it wouldn't keep reading. So even though it was just me talking, it will still read my whole text. So since I put Kelex in there, the bot's name, it will not read what I'm saying. So it's saving on tokens. But what I noticed was, and this ran me down a rabbit hole for almost a day, was OpenClaw has a hard time. It uses I think IMSG module. And between that module, it has a hard time distinguishing what's a group chat and what's a DM with stuff coming in. There's kind of no heading. Like it needs to have a heading when it comes into OpenClaw, some metadata to know what's what, and it doesn't. So it gets confused if it's a group or if it's a DM. So in order to keep everything the way I was doing, I also have to reply to it in DMs with Kelex also, which is kind of annoying, if you ask me. Even though groups have their own ID session and all that, it still doesn't know coming in if it should respond to it or not, because it's all coming in. Anyway, so moving on. So with that said, I did build out a back-end page to try to manage this. And again, I went down this rabbit hole for a while of trying to figure this out and seeing if there was a way around it. And ultimately, I gave up and just used it as is for now. So I did build this back end. Let's take a look at it here. I called it master control. Let me remove Messenger from the top on that page. So let's jump right to the Messenger monitor, because that's what we were just talking about, right? So there's this one tab over here, this one box that lists all the groups that my Messenger is in. So I have a group with a bunch of my Apple Vision Pro and Apple friends that are in this FaceTime Fun Time. This is probably one of the most active text groups I have. And it's a close bunch of friends. I don't need to monitor what they're saying. It's not a business thing. It's a friend thing. But you notice I'll have enable and disable. So I totally disable them in channels that I don't need to monitor to save tokens. The idea is if I left this on, I think the math told me that I was going to burn over 1 million tokens a week. And I'm sure it's going to be a lot more than that. So it doesn't make sense. I have these other groups too that I'm monitoring, but it's very rare that people are talking in them. I wouldn't say rare, but not so many times in a day that it's a big deal that the tokens become crazy. And I could come in here and disable. And now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I should put another, what do you call it? Another guardrail. You know what? Let's add that as a reminder for later. Can you create a reminder for me to add guardrails to Messenger to stop flooding. So the idea there is to add another guardrail. I bet if someone just keeps texting back and forth in one of those groups, even though, I could come in here and disable it, but maybe that guardrail would then come in and just disable it altogether. But yeah, so that's the messenger there. This is dynamic, so it will keep adding other groups in here, and I can enable and disable it. So what else? API usage. We literally just restarted the week this morning, so everything is zeros in here for Claude. And it's first thing in the morning, so I just started the session. There's not much in there, but I did incorporate a debug. So if I click the debug button, it will show what it would look like if my usage is high. I would get this low quota warning, and I would know, like, hey, I need to back off on it, or maybe I need to change my default model to OpenAI or something. All right, Mike, buddy, have fun. So I also have that for GPT. I don't think it actually pulls the GPT stuff unless GPT is running. So that's a little... the last time I hit rate limits, I like knowing this, especially at the beginning. I was very much hitting the rate limits a lot. So tracking when the last time was. And then, yeah, I have a refresh button on these. If I hit it, it'll refresh it. This was something, again, this whole back end is something that I built using Claude, and then started integrating on it. I have a daily journal. So this goes back to when I was telling you to document everything, right? So this daily journal is, I've told it to summarize all the session files for that day and create a daily journal. So at the end of the night, every day, it's creating these markdown files of what we did that day. And I have it in this bottom scroll thing. So yesterday there was a problem. OpenClaw gateway wasn't responding in the morning. So if I click on this, it will open up more. Startup script fix in the morning, model changes, Claude. So as you can see, I'm keeping track of these things, right, on a daily basis. And then I can reference it, or it will already know. If it doesn't already know, then I will reference to go look at the markdown files. So that's this main section. I also have an issue tracker. So back on the top, let's not skip the top, right? It will tell us the model, what model we're running, which is saying that it's running 5.1 right now, which isn't the case. You know what? Because of that, again, this is live. Let's work it out. In my master control page, the model that it's listing as live is, but I'm sure you're on Opus at the moment, correct? Let's see why it says that it's wrong. I hit the refresh button, so it should have picked it up. So again, it's little things. These things, as perfect that we think and as amazed as we are when this stuff works, sometimes Okay, it's saying the default session. You know what? I was running out of our default session should be Sonnet. But this should always show us our live model. So I'm going to have it change the default to Sonnet. I changed it because I was getting low. As you can see, it just reset early this morning. OpenClaw could also have failovers. So you could have one, and then if that hits limit, you could go to the next one. But I haven't found it reliably handing off well. And maybe because I'm on subscriptions and it's using OAuth, and maybe it doesn't really know when OAuth falls off yet, or maybe it gets a different error than it does when you're using keys, but it hasn't been that consistent to me. And honestly, I feel like I burn my usage faster with ChatGPT for some reason. Okay, so it's saying the API is working. It returns Opus correctly. You might need to refresh. So it did a bunch of stuff without me asking, even with all the guardrails that I have in place, right? I'm pointing that out. I'm scrolling back up just so I could show all the thinking that it's just done to figure this out. Okay, the dashboard is showing. Set the default model. Satnat fixed it. Okay, so it gave it to-do list, right? Got it. Two things. One is set the default model to Sonnet to fix the dashboard to show live session, and it checkmarked it while it was going through it, right? So it's pulling in configs, reading them. And then it looks like it's getting the status from the back end, Python script, endpoints. So again, it's done a lot. But again, it did it without me really telling it to go for it. So I feel like I have to watch my wording more. Okay, so the default is now set to that gateway we started now, which this is one of the things I keep telling it not to do. Don't restart the gateway. Because a lot of the times the gateway doesn't come back up. So you end up having to do it yourself. And if you're not home or not remoted into that machine, it could end up being a thing. The dashboard already shows the live session model, not the default. I confirmed APIs returning for the session. If you were seeing, try refreshing the page. We did try refreshing the page, but let's do it again. Okay, now it's showing the right thing. But either way, I'm just showing what's going on here. So the next thing on this page, so it says the uptime was 11 hours, 32 minutes because I was working on stuff yesterday and I restarted things. The next thing I have in here is, as we say with anyone, backup, 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 right? I have my own Git server. It's an open source made by, it's called Git. That's here locally on a NAS. And I back up to that with everything for years now. So with that, I want to know when my last backup is. So if I'm on this page and I see right here, 10 uncommitted items. We know this because we just made changes with our cron jobs and stuff. So I'm sure there was things. This is looking at what hasn't been backed up, right? And what's under it was the last backup we did and a link to it. But before we get to that, let's go back and make sure we back up. So I have a skill. You know what? Let's ask it. Tell me about our backup skill. Okay, so Git Backup skill, commit and pushes the workspace to your Git server. What it does, copies the live configs into config backup, syncs everything in the OpenClaw folder, which is, I have startup scripts, I have other things in there that I've created. Update any stale documentation. So our README file, if we have changed things or added new features, it will add those new features. We want them in there, right? Refresh the dashboard Git status, trigger phase, back it up, push it, commit changes, sync, and then our remote server. So let's go ahead and back up. Okay, done, pushed. I have the commit, config updates, dashboard files, 5 new memories. Great, right? So now if we refresh in here, now it says clean, right? And again, we have a link here. If I click on that link, it opens up my Git. And I'm not gonna go through this that much, but again, we have a private repository on my personal Git that no one else has access to. And we have everything in here. And here's our README that we keep updating. Right, I'm not manually writing it. I'm having it. I tweaked it a bit, and I'm trying to keep as much notes as I can in there. Okay. So with that said, let's jump over to another page that I created called Issue Tracker. All right, so it is an open source project that's pretty new, that's moving fast. There are issues. We're going to run into issues. I want to document. This might sound dopey, but in the end, it really does help. Document any issues you run to. Any issues you sit there and say, oh, I want to fix that. Maybe you don't fix it, or maybe you do fix it. In either case, you should document it. One, it's nice to push it to GitHub itself as a bug report. I noticed feature requests get turned down. They're not taking feature requests anymore. You'll get an update a day later saying we're going to expire it. They're just getting slammed over there. But that being said, the other reason is so your bot doesn't get hung up on it again and burn more tokens on it again. So we want a place to save this stuff so we know. And if it's fixed, then what did we do to fix it? Again, so we don't burn 3 tokens for it. So I've created this issue tracker, issues and bugs in here, which are markdown files on my machine in a specific location, right? I've told OpenClaw to build that. And then I built this front end just to access those files so I could see and I personally could reference without having to go look through it. So what I've done is made a list. So I've created a bunch of statuses and I did a GitHub only button. So in here, we could see the title, what kind of the status is. Like this is stale, verified, working. This is something that was revolved and verified. We figured it out. Feature request, we we sent and we found out that they're not doing feature requests anymore, so it's kind of blocked. So here's one, iMessage behavior issues. If you see, I also have another little GitHub icon here on the left. That's only on items that I have submitted. So not every item is going to be pushed to GitHub, right? Not every item is an OpenClaw issue. It might be stuff that you're working on that you're running into issues. But either way, if I click on this, I could see all the information that I'm tracking, right? Status, the workaround is active. I'm doing something to make this work right now. It's not a fix, it's just a workaround. It's how do I get it to work right now, right? And the key reason I put that in there too is I also want to track this. Does it get fixed? When it does get fixed, maybe I go back and do it the right way or the intended way. But for right now, it's not. Critical bug group, it's a routing bug. We were talking about this earlier. It can't tell from a group text or a DM text. This is one of the things, right? So everything's documented in here, what we tried, and then this is used to submit root cause analysis. Again, I went through a rabbit hole with this for a while, and what I'm doing to go around it right now. But this little icon that I said I have on this left-hand side, if I click on it, it will actually open to that Git bug report that I posted. I can see it's still open. It's in there as a bug. So I could have, and I don't do this right now, but I could have another cron job, maybe weekly, look and see if any of my open bug reports have been closed. And then maybe add it to a reminder to test, right? So it's a lot of those type of workflows that we could do. Video workspace, that's supposed to be a YouTube thing. It's pre-built, but again, I'm still waiting for my transcripts to all filter in and then go to the next step. But the idea would be, is I would have all those markdown files in here also. But also when I'm writing videos and I'm scripting things, or I'm writing descriptions, I could have them saved in a markdown file, and then they will also list in here also. This is connected to my NAS here locally. So it's not, when I say my NAS, I mean one specific folder of that NAS, not the whole NAS. Again, we're being segmented with all of this. And even though I'm on my other machine and I'm writing with another document, or however I'm writing, maybe I'm using GPT and I'm saving that to a markdown file on my NAS, it will show up in here. And then I could reference it also. That's the key here. What else? Business, I have not built out yet. That's just a tab there. Docs is just the documentation page for OpenClaw. It's nice to have that to look through and see how everything works. Like, look how it works. Chat apps go to a gateway. Gateway goes to, but there's a lot of other little features set up and compatibility things in here. Tools, models. So yeah, that's a quick run of my dashboard, my master control, what the model looks like so far. Again, I've been using it for about a week. This is a week between other jobs, other work, and other things. I haven't really been telling it to build stuff overnight like some people do and everything, because I'm trying to make sure I get all the guardrails that I can think of in. Another big thing I'll point out is I think there's a section in here on security on the docs. Security and sandboxing. Yeah, security. Good rule of thumb to kind of run through this. So when you install it the first time, point it to this page. Give it this exact page and say, using the information here, let's do an audit on our setup. Is there anything you suggest that we should enable to make things more secure? And then judge it. The line between convenience and security is very, very thin. And the line gets blurry, and blurrier. I've used a lot of products that I've gone, wow, this is scary because the convenience outweighs the security. And if everybody realizes that, we're in for it. It's over. But anyway, guys, that was just a quick live. I haven't done a video for a little bit. It was on vacation with some family members, and yeah, we'll get back into it. But I just wanted to do this quick live, show where we're at on this. Let me know in the comments, is this something you're playing around with, interested in? Do you want to learn more about it? Or are you just waiting for Apple to come out and crush it and have something super streamlined that is kind of a harness like this already? Will they? Are they going to be years out? I don't know. But this is definitely what the future looks like under the hood, right? You may never see the engine. It might be a lot more polished, but it's good to understand how it works. And that don't mean run out and install it, but maybe watch a video too. Anyway, guys, till next time, take care.